We all know that Donald Trump likes to tweet.
Just leave this.
I think
Talking
he's
about
been called the tweeting president,
Tweet Lord.
the tweet
Probably-
master.
It's probably one of the kindest things he's been called.
He's definitely changed the game in terms of what presidents do with Twitter. I mean, obviously Obama was sort of the first one on Twitter, but Trump has definitely reinvented how to use Twitter as a president. So what's happened recently is that a US judge has ruled in favor of 7 Twitter users who basically came against Trump and said because they had been blocked by Trump's Twitter account. And what happened was the judge said it was a violation of the First Amendment right, which for everybody who's not up to date with American politics, the First Amendment means free speech.
Love
So-
that one.
So apparently it was a violation of the First Amendment. Now, basically, there were a couple of people who were involved. One of them was a Texas police officer, a New York comedian writer, and a Nashville surgeon amongst the 7 people. I'll just read this part here.
Surgeon.
Yeah. In her ruling, Judge Naomi Rice Buchwald wrote that the plaintiffs... I'm just reading this.
Really questioning your last name there.
Buchwald?
Is that your real name?
Buchwald.
So-called judge.
Wrote that the plaintiffs who sought to view and engage with Mr. Trump's tweets alongside those who were not restricted were protected by the First Amendment. The judge, though, did not require the president on Twitter to unblock anyone. Now, it was interesting because they were saying it was a violation of the First Amendment right because it's technically Trump's account is an official government web forum. So, and it should be treated as something that the public can all engage with without censorship. So, now Trump currently has 52 million followers. Nobody really knows how many people he's blocked. We can only assume he must be blocking thousands of people all the time because, I mean, there are tons of people who really hate Trump. So
Yeah,
you'd
you'd
be
have
blocking-
a few
you'd be
interns
blocking,
on
yeah.
it. Blocking away.
I don't know, but how does
With-
Twitter work though? Because he's not looking at what people
So-
are sending him, right?
He might be.
With famous verified
true.
people, you kind of have a level of when other verified people message you, you get them. But if it's just the masses, you can ignore them pretty easily.
Right.
Like they have separate kind of boxes and folders for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you block someone, they can't respond to anything, and
you can't see their feed essentially. Like
okay.
not through your Twitter account. I'm sure you
Yeah.
can make another Twitter account and just look,
Yeah.
but at least not from your personal feed.
Yeah.
So
Oh, can't even see it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it just
right.
disappears.
So it's not like, so there's no function to block someone's ability to interact with you, but like allow them to see the feed.
Yeah, you can't see it and you can't interact with it. Essentially, it's just like Facebook. When you block somebody, you just can't
You're
find
not
them
there
or see
anymore.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, you disappeared. So Twitter was asked to comment, and they said, "No, we're not talking about this. We're not taking any sides in this. This is completely between you guys and Trump. So we're not taking a side on this at all." Now, all these guys had. It's interesting too because I was reading through. This was through the New York Times. They were talking about at least why these guys think they got blocked on Twitter. Now, none of them really did anything particularly terrible, in my opinion. They just kind of had opposing views to Trump, and especially because there are lots of people who probably do say really egregious things to Trump.
No.
These particular 7 that got singled out.
Yeah, I heard
Seemed
someone
very-
called
seemed
him the
very
Twitter president.
Yeah.
Bastards.
He seemed very. Some of these things seem very arbitrary in terms of they just said something and then they got blocked, and so there's not really. I couldn't actually see anything other than just saying something mildly controversial and then they got blocked. But it wasn't like they said anything particularly bad. But it might not necessarily be. I couldn't see the common thread in terms of what they got blocked for. Like,
Yeah.
apart from that.
So Twitter has its own kind of code of conduct, right?
Yeah.
Like if you violate that, they can block you. Does that mean they can't do that if someone says something that's offensive?
Who can't do that?
Twitter.
Say
So
that-
they're saying the president can't block people for having opposing views because it's a free speech issue, right?
Yeah.
Twitter has the ability to block users.
Oh, they can ban people. Yeah.
Well, they can ban
Yeah, they can ban you
users.
from people.
But then
being-
doesn't that violate their freedom of speech as well?
So I think the tricky thing where it gets technical is the fact that Trump's Twitter is technically a government site. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
that's where they're classifying it
Yeah,
as, right?
but doesn't
So
that kind of like leak into the
that's
rest
where
of
it gets
the
a bit.
ecosystem.
This is where it gets a bit murky. So I don't quite understand.
Hmm.
Like it doesn't really make a lot of sense why they ruled into this favor, because I don't necessarily agree that Trump's Twitter is a public forum. I think he can ban whoever he likes as a personal account, really. But I do get the point that there are some aspects where he does tweet out very government
He tweets
related things.
official
Yeah, he tweets official
announcements.
things.
It's how he bloody communicates.
Yeah.
How do you mean it's not a public forum?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, where do you draw the line? Is it like it wasn't intended for that, but now it has become that? Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Because he also says, Saturday
Yeah.
Night Live was terrible.
because he can, yeah. So because it sort of does two things. Like it's a public forum where he announces things, but also he could tweet very much about the steak that he had today if he wanted to. You know, like it's not really official. The only person who controls it is him, really, or and maybe some other smaller people who he works underneath.
Yeah, but he makes official announcements from there.
I know. I'm not saying it's just a very strange ruling. I thought.
So he doesn't have to unblock them.
Well,
People
not
who
this. They didn't lay down anything about him unblocking anybody.
Right.
But
He's not allowed to block
yeah, he's
people.
not allowed to block any more people. Apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is so like as if he isn't going
Yeah.
to.
But what if someone's like actually being offensive to him?
Well, that's the other question too. Like, what if somebody's actually coming against him? So I'm going to murder your family, which I'm sure he gets a few of those.
Well, that could be within the like, okay, Twitter's going to ban you
Sure.
because he said something illegal. But what if you're in this guy's actually being sort of like I could see reasons why you wouldn't get banned from Twitter, but that like Twitter's banning code takes into account the fact that you can block someone. So it's got to be so bad that even the fact that you've blocked someone is not like
good enough.
It's not
Yeah.
good enough, right?
Yeah.
But if he doesn't have that ability, I feel like that's a bit.
Now he can.
It's a weird grey area.
Okay, so what's interesting too is that he can't block people, but he can mute them. So
Ah,
yeah.
Oh,
So-
okay. Well,
which is fine.
wait,
there
isn't
was
that-
nothing. There's nothing wrong with
isn't
him.
that the free speech
Yeah.
part of it then? Isn't that the point?
No, that means they can speak. He just doesn't have to
Yeah,
listen.
exactly. They can keep posting stuff to the.
So other
to-
people would see?
Yes, correct. Other people can
Right.
see it, but he can't stop them from
Yeah.
replying to his
okay.
thread, for example. So he puts up something about immigration, and then people reply, but they can't. He can't block their replies.
Yeah.
Basically.
To be fair, that's pretty like. I guess that makes sense because journalists and stuff will respond, or critics of what
Right.
you say will respond on the thread, and then other people can see that response with his announcements.
People use that stuff.
It's a pretty good way of getting cross coupling between people who would listen to what Trump says because they agree with him. They actually get to see opposing views, which they normally wouldn't. I'm
Well,
assuming
I feel
through
like
most
I feel like I
avenues.
see everything every time Trump posts something. All I see is opposing views. But
Then they have a healthy discourse.
Yeah, and then everyone learns together and makes a better place.
yeah,
I
no,
think
Twitter
makes
is
the
not
world
that
a better
place.
place.
Twitter is not a place for healthy discord.
Maybe not healthy, but at least you would see opposing views, which is not always the case.
Yeah, I don't
on
know.
other
When I want to see the worst of humanity, I go onto Twitter. Anyway, so do you guys want to know who has been blocked? Some celebrities that have been blocked from Trump's Twitter.
Sure
Yes.
Ali Little.
Ali Little, Jono.
Yeah.
Chris-
Wait, we been blocked? Are you saying
blocked.
I didn't even know I had Twitter.
blocked. You've been blocked. You've been cut. Chrissy Teigen. If you don't know who she is, John Legend's wife.
Yep.
She's been blocked. She's opposed Trump from the very beginning. She's been very vocal about that. Him and John Legend.
Yeah,
Her and John
from the
Legend.
moment she came out of her mama's womb.
Yeah, you'd think most women would be, but
They
sorry.
don't.
You'd think that.
You could think that, but you'd be wrong.
Anne Rice. She is the author of the Vampire Chronicles, or the book that got adapted into Interview with a Vampire.
Like
Why
Twilight.
did she get?
Twilight Woman.
She
What
hates.
did she
She
do?
also hates Trump.
I think those
okay.
books are awesome.
Yeah.
I like Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah. Marina Sirtis, if you don't know that name, that is Counselor Troy from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I just-
It's,
I mean, you
that's a
said
deep
that,
cut.
but still.
Stephen King, author Stephen King.
I know that one.
His tweet was great about it. Do you have it?
No,
I'll look it up.
Are you
There
sure
we
that's
go.
not because Trump gets scared of him?
No,
of Stephen
he's-
King.
Stephen
Yeah, maybe
King's-
he's sending him really creepy stories.
Maybe. I don't know. And Rosie O'Donnell, which to be fair, like him and Rosie are not in good terms
Keeps
anyway.
saying, doesn't he say like really derogatory things about her?
They both say
On a
really terrible things to each
constant
other.
basis.
They're not good friends. in
Who's
any way,
Rosie
shape, or
O'Donnell
form.
again?
She was Was she an actor or a talk show host or something like that for a while? I can't
Mm.
remember if she was an actor as well, but she was definitely on a talk show.
I don't know who she is.
Yeah, but yeah, he definitely went after her. Like she went after him and said something derogatory about him, and then she went after her and did something nasty about her too. So it's a bit of a tit for tat in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Love a good tit
Tit
for
for
tat.
tat.
It's the classic exchange with Trump.
So yeah, that's pretty much. But the ABC, I was reading the article on the ABC, and they were saying like this would never happen in Australia because we don't have free speech laws.
We don't.
Yes.
Nope, we don't have. We're not protected by free speech in Australia.
It's a very weird application of it. It's
Yeah.
because you're right. It's Twitter.
Yeah,
Like generally, the rule has been, yeah, you're allowed to say what you want to say,
Yeah.
but people don't have to provide you a platform in order to say it, right?
right.
There's no
Yeah.
requirement. If I own a TV station, I don't have to give you time
No.
on my TV station.
And that's not blocking anyone's.
No, because you
No.
can still go and say whatever you want to say wherever you want to say it, but like
write a
it's
letter.
not my job to
To give you-
facilitate
yeah.
you to do that.
Exactly.
I found it.
Nice.
So
What did he
this is
say?
from @Stephen King with a PH. Donald Trump blocked me on Twitter. I am hereby blocking him from seeing It and Mr. Mercedes. No clowns for you, Donald. Go float yourself.
What's Mr.
So that's not
what's
why
Mr.
he got
Mercedes?
blocked.
I don't know. No, I just thought it was a funny response.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, cool.
Go
cool.
float yourself. You can't watch my movies.
We all float
Can you
down.
imagine?
Mm.
Stephen
I
King
get
banned
it,
you from
'cause they
watching his
float
movies.
together. Yeah, the floating thing.
Devo.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Twitter's
Yeah.
weird.
So that's it.
Yeah, weird place.